All right. Hey there, testing. Can y'all hear me? Whoops, can't do that. Let me get off of there. All right, I was just making some last minute changes on the presentation. All right, thank you very much for tuning in. My name is David Dobbs, and let's get into presentation mode. All right, this is Jevity 101. This is a cognitive function course. For those of you who know me, you probably know that I am very passionate when it comes to cognitive function. I'll go more into that later, but I definitely wanted to do something on this first and foremost. So the presentation starts in a few minutes at 2:10. So we're just going to let some people get on if they wish, and this will be on the Jevity webpage, the Facebook page. All right, cool. See you guys in like 8 minutes. All right. All right. Okay, I'm back. All right, let's get right into it. All right, my name is David Dobbs. I'm starting a local business here in Hartwell, Georgia. Uh, we are set to open sometime in late February. All right, we are just getting the location, we're closing on the location, and we'll be setting it up shortly. All right, I'm a longevity specialist. I'm very passionate about that. The reason why is because my parents are a lot older than most of my friends' parents who grew up around me, and my grandparents are older than most people's grandparents. And I had a grandfather with dementia and a grandmother with dementia. It was incredibly hard to care for them, and I want to make sure that I don't get dementia because I don't want that to strain my relationship with my family. And uh, also, I've as a kid, as a young boy, I had some ADD symptoms, and I was diagnosed with ADD actually, and we never medicated me for it. We just put me in football, and you know, we didn't address any diet issue. We just thought, hey, this is natural for a boy my age. So, and it was very normal. It was not uncommon for a boy my age during that time to have ADD. So we really didn't worry about it. All right. Well, I've since then figured out what was causing those cognitive function issues. All the symptoms, they came together and they give you a diagnosis of a syndrome. So ADD is a syndrome or collection of symptoms. All right. I wish that I had figured that out long ago, but I just figured it out about 3 years ago. All right. 2017 in January. I'm 32 now, so that was when I was 29 years old. If we'd have figured this out much earlier, my life would probably be a lot different. But I probably wouldn't have been so passionate about the subjects, though. So, all right. So cognitive function, that is my main passion. Other things that I'm passionate about are inflammation and nutrition and weight management. All right. And my mission, what I'm doing here is I want to enhance the experience and the health education of aging populations through longevity classes like this and personal training as well. All right, some for my local business here, it's going to be a nonprofit, and it's a place where people can go. They can educate themselves. They can develop a relationship with me, and I can train them physically. All right, and also just teach them the stuff that they've probably forgotten and maybe never have known. All right, and another vision, part of the vision is that I will have a bus that I can take to like senior living facilities and to Walmart parking lots, stuff like that. And I can invite someone on the bus and teach them, and love on them. Part of it is sharing the love. All right, and that's what I'm passionate about. All right, so that's old. All right, so cognitive function. All right. So I want to talk about Alzheimer's. I didn't prepare a slide for Alzheimer's, but Alzheimer's is known as, it's kind of nicknamed diabetes type 3. All right. And so diabetes type 2 is where your pancreas stops working properly, and the beta cells stop producing a hormone. And I'll talk about this hormone in depth a little bit later, but it's got some some major setbacks. If this hormone is a good thing, you wouldn't want to lose that hormone. But it also has some negative effects if that hormone is always turned on. You don't want this hormone on all the time. You want it low for most of the time, or off altogether, and then you want to spike it at certain times. All right, and I'll go into that later. All right, so Alzheimer's is a protective mechanism. All right, and other cognitive function issues are different protective mechanisms, but Alzheimer's is specifically with this hormone. All right, other forms of dementia, Alzheimer's is a form of dementia, by the way, are inflammatory responses, are caused by inflammatory responses. So I'm going to do a little analogy here. So I am from Atlanta, so I'm loyal to Atlanta always. And Julio Jones is a great wide receiver, and we've had him for a number of years. And he has an appropriate amount of pads on for football. Okay? So with inflammation, your body is going to protect itself, or more. Let's talk more about the brain, though. Your brain has to protect itself some way. So he is as good as a football player as he is going to be with this amount of pads on. This is appropriate. Now, with inflammation and your Julio Jones is your brain, okay? Imagine that you are going to add some equipment to his wardrobe and how that is going to affect his performance. Whether it's running and trying to outrun the defensive backs and the cornerbacks, or catching the football. So here's a couple of things that I want you to add onto his equipment. All right, so imagine ankle guards. So he's got less range of motion in his ankles. Imagine he has knee braces on. How fast can you run with knee braces on? Shin guards, also like left and right too, not just straight ahead speed, but can you cut and react fast, or jump? Can you jump high with knee braces on? Shin guards, elbow pads, forearm pads. Imagine if he had wrist guards. Would he be able to catch the ball very well with wrist guards? Imagine if he had a neck roll pillow so that if the ball is thrown over his head, he can't, or not, I said pillow, neck roll. It's what those linebackers wear to protect the neck, because they spear a lot of guys. No offense if you're a linebacker. I was a linebacker in middle school, so I love that position. But imagine if he had a neck roll pillow, he couldn't move his head up and down or left to right as easily, as freely. So that would definitely affect his performance on the football field. And if he had like a heavy duty face mask with a whole bunch of bars in it, he'd have a bunch of blind spots. So he wouldn't be able to see the ball as clearly as with just a regular face mask. You can't see his face mask in this picture, but it is appropriate for his position. All right, so that is essentially your brain's response to inflammation. All right, and it also has a similar response to insulin. Insulin is that hormone that I was talking about. We don't want that. We don't want that on all the time. All right, so here we go. We've got a fridge. That's going to represent one of our storage forms of energy, glycogen. glycogen is chains of glucose, okay? All right. And that is going to represent, the fridge is going to represent the liver and the muscles. All right, so we store glycogen in the liver and the muscles. All right, over here with the freezer, that's going to represent your body fat, and that's going to be the fat cells. This is not a weight management presentation. I just want to let you guys know that this is all about cognitive function, but this insulin mechanism is what I want you guys to understand, and I can't think of a better way to explain it other than this. All right, so this top valve, this valve with insulin is on. Okay, when insulin is present, that top valve right there is on. So it is taking glycogen and whatever you eat, and it is putting it back into the freezer, into the fat cells. All right. When insulin is on, this next one, this other valve, this energy release valve, is off. Okay. So we can't access the body fat for energy. All right. And the brain needs energy. It is a very high energy spending organ, right? It takes a lot of energy to operate the human brain properly. All right. And so one of the protective functions of the brain is that it will shut off when it doesn't have enough energy. It will shut off nerve synapses. Let me turn off these notifications on my phone. They're distracting. All right. It will shut off nerve synapses to do two things. One, so it doesn't have to protect as much from inflammatory responses, but two, because it can't afford to operate those nerve synapses anymore. It's like, you have a budget, you are a department head, and you have a limited budget and you have to spend it wisely. So you fire people, you lay people off because you don't have enough money, resources to keep them employed and keep giving them stuff to do. So with Alzheimer's, those are your short-term memory synapses that they turn off. Okay. And you don't have to wait until way late in life to be having some of these symptoms or be having these synapses be turned off. Okay. It can happen to you at a young age. All right. Now, it is highly reversible at a young age, and that's what I want to help you guys with, or spread the word to as many people as I possibly can. But I also want to help older people reverse it. All right. Whether they are diagnosed or not, I want to help. All right. So this comes down to insulin. All right. When insulin is present, this top valve is on. So we're storing energy. And this bottom valve, the one that's important for Alzheimer's and avoiding cognitive decline, that is off. Man, we want this on. We also want this on and open for weight management, anything to do with longevity. I can't imagine why we would really ever want this off. Okay. Right. So on is with insulin. This is actually off when insulin is not present. All right, cool. All right, so how do we keep insulin off? All right, so here are some tips. All right, so avoid pro-inflammatory foods. All right, avoid high glycemic foods. focus on your gut health. So you want like a diverse, so yeah, two things. Your intestinal lining, all right, it is not bulletproof, okay? It is very delicate. All right, so your intestinal lining can keep a lot of stuff out of your bloodstream. And I like doing this analogy. So imagine a trash can. That's going to represent your bloodstream. And imagine a can liner in that can. All right, that's going to represent your intestinal lining. All right, so if there are holes in your intestinal lining, and so there are holes in this can liner, and then you throw stuff away, if it's like a liquid or something, it'll get through the holes, and it'll be in the can, which will be your bloodstream. So when it gets into your bloodstream, where does it go? Like you can't control where it goes at that point. So like for instance, these proteins that are hard to digest and stuff, they get through all of the time, and they will go to the brain, and they will cause inflammation in the brain, and then the brain will have to protect itself somehow. So these proteins float around, and there's a form of dementia called dementia with Lewy body. That's what that is. It doesn't really affect your short-term memory so much, but it's very similar to Alzheimer's. Okay. All right. It's even scarier to some people, that dementia with Lewy body. But Lewy body is a protein that has formed in the brain. All right, and a diverse microbiome is another part of the gut health. All right, so if you have healthy bacteria in your gut, they are going to produce very simple forms of energy that your brain needs. All right, so short chain fatty acids is like the main thing that I'm thinking about here. Your brain is like 60+% fat. All right, so it needs fat to operate. All right, so we get those short chain fats from the bacteria in our gut. You don't get it from our diet, okay? We get like medium chain fats from our diet, long chain fats from our diet, but the short chain fats we don't get. All right, cool. Other solutions, elimination diet. So remember right here, I said avoid pro-inflammatory foods and avoid high glycemic foods. All right, so we're going to do an elimination diet. All right, the things that I want you to eliminate, I can talk about this in a different video. I want to make this short, brief, to the point, so it's not too long. All right. So sugar and sweeteners, I want you to avoid those. Sweeteners, like these, spike your insulin like a ton. Even if they're low calorie or no calorie sweeteners, they still spike your insulin. All right, and there's a lot of other things wrong with those. All right, but we're not going to go into that right now. All right, grains spike your insulin for a long time, and they spike it very high. All right, more high than for a long period of time. But they can also have like herbicides that hurt your gut lining. All right, so like Roundup, glyphosate, that's an herbicide that pokes holes in your intestinal lining. It degrades that. Headaches are a big, like, hey, my brain's screaming, I've got inflammation in my brain. So if you got headaches, it's probably from grain, and it's probably from glyphosate and your weak gut lining. Okay. All right. Dairy. Dairy turns to a sludge in the body. It spikes your insulin for a long period of time. We want to keep insulin low. Okay. Legumes are highly inflammatory. Well, they can cause you to have excess, prolonged inflammatory responses. We don't want that. Okay. Soy, same thing as grain. They can be grown with those herbicides. I want you to avoid those. All right, alcohol. Alcohol strips your gut lining in the same way that glyphosate does. All right, so that's going to hurt your gut lining, and it's going to let stuff through. So it's going to let, if you're drinking a lot, okay, and then you go eat grain, that's going to cause a headache. All right, if so this past week, I went to a beer festival and I drank quite a bit of alcohol there. It was all free and or included with the price of my admission. And then I ate quite a bit of grain and dairy at that beer festival too. I think I had almost like a calzone sort of thing, two of them. 2 6-inch ones, and then I also had a gyro. Right, so I had a lot of grain and a lot of dairy, and a lot of alcohol. And man, shoot, I had a humongous headache. And also, I couldn't really think straight the next day. Quite a bit of brain fog the next day as well. And bloating, man, dairy bloats me like crazy. All right, so on to the next. All right, another solution is actually to physically train and to break down muscles. But I want you to do it when insulin is not present, and when protein is not there, and when carbohydrates are not there. All right, so why would I want you to do it when there's no protein in your system or in your digestive tract, to be more specific? All right, the answer is because, the answer I don't want you to have protein is because I want your body to look around inside of like the bloodstream and certain organs for the protein. I don't want you getting your protein from your diet. I want your body to have to go explore places where these proteins might be, where they're out of place. Okay? All right, so there's actually an enzyme that gets activated, and it's only found in 3 different organs or organ systems. And when that can be activated, then we're looking at breaking down these proteins that cause Alzheimer's and cause dementia with Lewy body and other cognitive function issues. All right, so we have to activate that, and we can't be ingesting protein and activate that enzyme. All right, and those 3 organs, by the way, I don't have them on a slide, unfortunately. Those 3 organs or organ systems, the first one is skeletal muscle. All right, so skeletal muscle is the first one. So I'm not talking about smooth muscle that's not controllable, but if you can control the muscle, then it's that's what I'm talking about. Then the liver is the second place. And then who knows what the third answer is? The third answer is the brain. If we can activate this enzyme in the brain, then it will look around for all of these proteins that are floating around or built on the nerve synapses that are causing the cognitive function issue. All right. So don't ingest protein, and we want our insulin very low, and we don't want to have carbohydrates because that spikes our insulin, right? Right, and that's why basically it says insulin will be gone, and your body will have to look around for protein to repair the muscles with. We want to break down the muscles, right, so that they have to repair themselves and go look for protein. All right, and simply put, when you train, train in a fasted state. The longer, the better. All right, the longest intentional fast that's documented was 382 days. All right, and I know fasting is not like at the top of y'all's priority list, right? All of y'all, or some of you, and it may scare a bunch of you, or you may be like, oh man, I'm going to have a headache, or I'm going to be hangry, or something like that. And this is actually going to be very therapeutic for you. I want to encourage you to go for it anyway. Try it out with like short ones, like 12 hours, which is where you have a full night's sleep of 8 hours, and then you don't eat for another 4 hours after you wake up. All right, that's a 12-hour fast. That's intermittent fasting. That's a great way to start. All right, I really want you to get up over 24 hours though, and I'll explain why here in a bit. All right, so intermittent fasting, some other things that intermittent fasting are good for, why they help, is your metabolic rate goes up. Your metabolic rate is the number of calories that you burn. Also the resting metabolic rate, which is if you rested all day, you didn't get out of bed, how many calories would you burn? All right, we want that number high, okay? We want it above 2,000 calories. Your brain, it's going to use quite a bit of that 2,000. Another reason why this is good is you have fewer inflammatory responses. Your body can get a lot of stuff done when it doesn't have to fight these fires all the time. Okay? Mitochondria adaptation. Mitochondria are, sorry to keep throwing in a whole bunch of vocabulary here, but mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cell. It's basically Georgia Power, if, to make another analogy. They didn't plan for you to go so long without food. So the next time around, they're going to build a bigger Georgia Power. They're going to expand their operation, and they're going to be able to be more efficient, and they're going to be able to last longer. So with the intermittent, the more you step it up, the more the mitochondria will have to adapt. All right, so 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours, 20 hours, 22 hours, and then we're getting into longer term fast, which I'll go into in a second. But also, the bad bacteria in your gut, the ones that don't produce the short chain fats, that they produce other things that are not good byproducts, those tend to die faster than the good ones. The good ones that produce the short chain fats, they are much more resilient, and they can last longer. So the bad bacteria in your gut will die faster, and you'll have a better microbiome. All right, cool. So then that brings me to the longer term fast, which is 24 hours plus. Metabolic rate is still a benefit. We're keeping insulin low so that energy release valve is always open. are on. So our body is like, yeah, let's access this body fat, right? And it's not trying to pull back its operations. You're the department head, and you're like, hire people, hire more people. Oh my gosh, we don't have enough people. So they're going to activate those dormant nerve synapses. Okay. Cell recycling. This is something I haven't talked about yet or mentioned yet. This is where like weak cells get eaten, they get consumed for energy, and it feeds the other cells. Or they take parts from certain cells and put them in cells that need it. All right, DNA repair. When your body doesn't have to process all this food all the time or fight these fires, the inflammatory responses, it can get a lot of stuff done. So DNA repair is something that it doesn't do every single day, but when you're fasting, it doesn't have anything else to do. So might as well get this DNA fixed. All right, we've copied it so many times, we might as well, make sure that it's in the best form before we copy it next time. All right. Stem cell. Okay, so one more thing about DNA repair. So your gene expression, your DNA expression is very important. Like if you have hereditary, like people, this will keep you or could keep you from developing one of those cognitive function issues that's hereditary. All right, because it can repair the DNA. All right, stem cells. Stem cells, they duplicate themselves. They have daughter cells, and that happens typically after 24 hours, 48 hours also. All right, human growth hormone. That's great for skin. It's great for so many different things. Muscles. It's great for your nails, your hair. Not saying that it's really that keyed up on for your cognitive function. All right, mitochondrial adaptation, we already went into that. You definitely get more of it with the 24-hour fast. Malicious proteins, so malicious proteins in your brain that are affecting your cognitive function. Those will be hunted down. The enzyme that's in your brain and in your liver and in your muscles, that will be activated. All right. We definitely want that on, especially active in the brain. Okay. All right. And bad bacteria in your gut, they die still in 24-hour fast. All right, so this is something that I think is relevant because, well, I know it's relevant because typically people in this country have coffee. All right, I love coffee. I've worked at 5 coffee shops. I absolutely love it. So I will not be in a good mood if I am fasting and I'm not having coffee. Okay, so I'm going to drink my coffee. Now, the thing is that I want you to drink coffee. This will enhance your metabolic rate and it will help you get through the fast. But the ones that I want you to have are the ones that don't spike your insulin and the ones that don't elevate it for very long and the ones that can fuel your brain, so for instance, I'm talking about coconut oil, I'm talking about ghee, clarified butter, It's got the bad proteins have been extracted from it, and the sugar has been extracted from it. And I'm talking about caprylic acid, which it's an MCT. It's a medium chain triglyceride from coconut oil or from palm oil. Cool. All right, so those three, that's what I want you to have in your coffee in the morning, or just drink it black. All right. It will change the texture. If you don't like black coffee, it'll change the taste of the coffee. So please try that, or find a coffee alternative. All right, but the sweeteners, the low-calorie sweeteners, they still spike your insulin. So it's not a good idea to just be spiking your insulin first thing in the morning. It'll shut off the hose of funding to your brain. All right. Cool. Other longevity topics that I love talking about and have talked about before. Inflammation, we talked about briefly. Pain management, sleep, mineral balance. So, like I'm talking about calcium and iron and that sort of thing, and weight management. I love all of these things, and they're all interconnected. And there's so many more too, like communication. Is communication a part of longevity? Yeah, definitely think it is. So, anyway, I think that's the end of my presentation. Holler at me. So my phone number is 470-767-6307. Email is Jevity, spelled with the 3 in there, at gmail.com. My website is jevity.com or jevity101.com. Spelled with the 3, okay? Not the E. All right, thank you very much. Please share this with a loved one, or if you prefer, or if they would prefer, I can come give this presentation in front of, a small group of people. All right, just schedule it. All right, thank you. All right, bye.